being,
I love
yeah,
everybody. Everyone's
no,
awesome.
well, this is the thing. You talk about them behind your back like this, and they're gonna like you. And then this whole thing is gonna say starting soon, and then it'll go away, and they'll be
Okay.
like, "Hey, everybody, how you doing?" And then people are gonna come back in, and then they're gonna be like, "Oh gosh, that's fantastic." And are you
Brandon.
ready? Because 5, 4, 3. Actually, it's more like 8, 9. Why 6 for 87? Because 5, 4. I love this new technology. I love walking you through it, Penny. By the way, what
Okay.
were you saying before? My hair looks good.
I was just going to say that I think you're hot.
Stop. Listen. I feel like I'm like running ragged. I feel like I have 10 cats. That's what I feel like right now.
Okay.
Anyways,
Well,
let's get this one out of the way. Hey, everybody, welcome to both of our channels. We figured out how to do this effectively, efficiently, and we both don't have to worry about where it ends up or who watches what. Anyways, thanks guys so much. By the way, if this is your first experience with Penny and I, this episode might ruin you. This episode might ruin you. If you've seen it before, we have all the great things in store. We're going to be super tight with what we're going to get focused in on. We're going to take a look at the new moon in Taurus, or the full moon in Taurus.
No, Brandon.
Full moon in Taurus, right?
It's the full moon in Taurus, not the new moon.
I heard the other day that the sun's in retrograde. Is that bad?
Listen, our shows should come with a government health warning.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. Because democracy is a full contact sport. Right?
Thereby lies a tale.
So since we have so many new viewers, I'm Medium Brandon Russ. I do astrology. I do tarot work. I do a couple of shows on YouTube called Shuffle Up and Heal, rather. And then also I do the energy report, stream of consciousness when I have guests on, that sort of thing. And Penny and I stumbled on each other. And Penny, why don't you introduce yourself? Because we've got a lot of new viewers here.
Yeah, hi. Well, welcome to everybody, and thank you for coming and joining us on our show. I am astrologer Penny Dix. I'm also a psychotherapist of 30 years, and I have started recently channeling. Well, actually, I've been channeling all my life. I just didn't realize it. And I have a new channel starting with a friend of mine called Sarah Sands Smith, who is an awesome psychic and channeler. We've got nothing on our channel, but we've already got 76 subscribers.
Well, and listen, though, I love that you're teasing that, because I actually think that some of the energy that we're needing, and I'm finding this on my channel, I did, kind of the postmortem, and we were trying to do this like within the week. And I even said, yeah, I can't do this right now. I can't. I kind of took it on the chin, and I started doing videos to just rally people, to tell them like, hey, this isn't all bad. And maybe there is, kind of a, kind of a dynamic where this might be the medicine we've needed, but it's really kind of hard, because what we're seeing here socially, and by the way, those of you that are new here, I'm going to give the U.S. perspective. Penny's going to talk about the European and the worldview piece of it. And we kind of do some comparisons back and forth. We're seeing neighbors turn against neighbors. That's what we're literally seeing right now. We're seeing such a divisiveness that's ugly.
Happening. I also heard that apparently some people are cancelling things like Thanksgiving because of the split in families. This is awful.
I have seen it. I've seen it more than a few times, in readings. I mean, I don't know if you've seen an uptick in your readings. I certainly have. I'm reaching new audiences too, so that kind of makes sense. What's that?
I said, no, I haven't. I am here, everybody. If you'd like a reading with me, pennydix.com. Just email direct.
Well, you do live on like the fourth smallest island in the Mediterranean, so maybe it's marketplace. I don't know. I don't know what you're here again.
I do want to say that to everyone that is watching, that if you do seriously want to have a session with me, I've decided not to use my booking system. It's driving me mad, because suddenly I find I've got a client tomorrow and I've already booked to do something else. I can't get my head around a booking system. So I'm going to stop it, and just please email me at penny@pennydix.com, and I will privately, personally email you back, and we'll find a time to suit us.
And she will respond with recipes and nudes.
No, I won't. I only do that with you.
Oh. What kind of website is this? What kind of show is this? All right. So So yeah, we've seen a lot of divisiveness, and so much so, like, it was kind of, at first it started out as gloat. It was very much the, see, I told you so. Her platform was terrible. She doesn't resonate with real people. She doesn't, so forth and so on. And it was a lot of this kind of like, the reason why, and this is the synopsis as to why people think that this election has actually been stolen, is because there is a significant number less voters for Kamala than there was for Joe Biden. Well, that's also their argument that the last election was stolen because there was a significant number of upticks of voters. The reality is, though, is that there were bomb threats at polling places. There has been, they've already caught Russian interference with emails and destruction stuff. They've also found, people were burning ballot boxes. Like, it was just a lot of kind of like agent chaos stuff, right? Agent provocateur stuff where people were kind of like mixing things up. And then when you start to kind of put together, and this floored me because I didn't know this until about a week before the election. Elon Musk's company contracts to like 16 states to have that information uploaded. And by the way, it was every single state that Trump won. Trump happened to win every single one of those states. Happened to, allegedly.
Musk, you mean that Musk has a company in?
Correct.
Right.
And it's called Starlink, and it's the thing that he's like, hey, during emergencies we can get. And by the way, the application of it is amazing, absolutely amazing. If you're in an emergency crisis, your 9/11s, your forest fires, your hurricanes, like, you have crucial things knocked out, but you can go up into satellites. It's an amazing technology in theory and in principle. In application, it has some hits or misses. It needs to be developed more. That in and of itself is fantastic. Thank you very much for showing up. What are you doing getting into our voting rolls? What are you doing sponsoring a candidate? What do you do? Like, there used to be rules for this in the United States, but now they're gone. And that's part of the challenge with it. What are you seeing in Europe? Like, what are you seeing like throughout this? What's the reaction to Trump being elected?
Okay, so as I always endeavor to do, everybody, my personal feelings, views, I don't think are relevant, although obviously my personal feelings, views will filter through because I'm human. So undoubtedly what I think and what I feel is going to show through. However, from what I can pick up from the people I speak to throughout, say, my friends in the UK, family, this kind of thing, on the surface, everyone's saying, this is horrific, this is awful, this is the end of the world, this is just going to be, Russia will walk into Europe, and all sorts of kind of dramatic kind of ways that this could play out. Then when I talk to people privately, they're going, I wonder whether, this actually has some kind of some substance to it that could actually be positive, that maybe, just maybe, the world, the planet, needs something like what is unfolding and happening in the United States to shake everything up, to wake everything up and everyone up. So I'm not going to say any more on that at the moment, but it does segue us beautifully into the full moon, which is
Right.
about waking up on one level. And there's a lot of energy out there amongst fellow astrologers, British astrologers, European astrologers, and I believe amongst American astrologers, but you will be able to confirm that with me, Brandon, that astrologically, the current full moon, which is what we wanted to discuss tonight, is not actually potentially good for someone who is not aware of the energies they're dealing with. Now, I say that.
I totally get what you're going with this. I totally agree with you. And
can I just finish my thread on this? Because
sure, yeah.
It is quite important, because the sun and the moon, then they're not quite full anywhere. We've still got a couple of hours to go, 2 to 3 hours to go. the energy builds up in the days leading up to it. And remember, we never know what is going on behind closed doors. Now, I'm going to tell you where this full moon is in my personal chart and how it's affecting me, because it may give us an idea of what Donald Trump may be experiencing around the energy of this full moon. Now, I'm aware of the energy,
Mm-hmm.
which means I'm working with it positively and constructively. I'm not allowing, if you like, the cosmos to dictate to me or bring forth events into my life that push me into waking up or changing or transforming. My natal sun in Taurus is conjunct the full moon in Taurus, which means it's conjunct Uranus retrograde in Taurus, which is at 25 degrees. The full moon is at 24 degrees exactly. Now, Algol, the fixed star Algol, known as the demon planet
I'm going to pull
star,
up the chart, Penny.
right? Okay. The demon star is at 25 degrees of Taurus. So Uranus is conjunct Algol. So all my life, I have had Algol conjunct my natal sun. But I
Mm-hmm.
haven't lost my head, although one could say metaphorically, there are many times in my life I've lost my head. Okay.
And,
Because
and
it's
it's interesting too that you're bringing this up, because I think that you and Donald and I, for that matter, have very similar house placements.
Mm,
So when you say this is why it's affecting me, I think it's really valuable, because the placements that we're seeing right here are actually something that you and I can talk intelligently about, because our charts are actually, or at least our house placements, maybe not our chart, but our house
yeah.
placements are similar. So when you say lose your head, though, what does that mean?
Okay. Algol is known as the star that represents literally beheadings. So I think in this modern day and age, we have to take it as a metaphor of losing one's
Well,
head.
thank goodness.
Yeah, I don't want to lose my head.
Well, I mean, wait for the next cabinet appointment. We might change that a little bit.
Yeah. But it's also can be about leaders or people in power losing their power, losing their position. So hold on to that information for a minute,
Mm-hmm.
because this full moon and Algol and Uranus are conjunct Donald Trump's midheaven. Now, the midheaven, for those of you that don't know the
We're,
technical,
we're, we're moving right along here, aren't we?
yeah, I know I'm really on a roll at the
Hey,
moment. Got to
listen,
let
Penny. All due respect, I'm not in your way. Let it rip. This is valuable
okay.
stuff. No. This is valuable stuff, because I think you have to also realize, especially if you're a new listener, we get so passionate about this because when we see it, we're like, and this translates to this, and this translates to that. And I think the fallacy is that we're going to soothe you. We're not. We're just giving you a play by play. We're
Mm.
just telling you kind of like where all of this, where all of these things kind of translates to. But let's go to the midheaven of Donald here, because this is a
Yeah,
big deal. This is a huge deal, everybody, just in case you
yeah,
were wondering.
because I would prefer to have what I have with Uranus, the full moon, and Algol conjunct my sun in the 10th house, rather than what Donald Trump has, which is conjunct his midheaven. Because the midheaven means that whatever it is that is happening to him, and if there are things that are happening to him because he is not aware of the astrological implications of the Uranian energy that is trying to wake him up to making certain changes with his character, his persona, his public image, then what
Correct.
happens is events take over. So the cosmos presents literal, physical, dramatic events that force the person concerned to wake up and look at themselves. So, for instance, if we come back to my situation with it conjunct my moon in the 10th house, I've been going through a period of about 2 to 3 weeks of complete transformation and awakening, and I'm working with it. So I'm pulling in the Scorpio energy of where the sun is with this full moon to say, okay, then cosmos, transform me. Let me
Yep.
break free. Let me break out of my chrysalis in my 10th house of career and work and fly and really basically what's been happening is I've realized I've been giving my power away all over the place. Now, this may be very helpful for lots of people if you're listening, if you have similar placements in your own charts. Where are you giving your power away? Do you give
Yeah.
it to other people? Do you always ask somebody's permission to do something? I realize that this is what I've been doing all my life. So that this full moon,
Yep.
I'm going, whoa, hey, hang on a minute. This needs to change. I need to take back my power and be the powerful and authentic person I can be. Now, let's then bring it back to Mr. Trump,
Mm.
our potential president-elect. Now, this could be very tricky for him because Algol is conjunct his midheaven. It means he is always, all through his life, in a sense, diced with death. And I don't mean that
No,
literally.
I think what you're saying is that he's willing to kind of like destroy. Like it's when you say death, think of it like the tarot card. Think of it like
Yes.
the change, the transformation, that sort of thing. Does that make sense?
Yes. And I think
Yeah.
what he is trying, let's look at what has happened with him, whether the election result is legal or not, or true or not, has been robbed or not. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that he is here to wake up the planet, because I think he's doing that already anyway. Okay. Now, if he isn't aware of the potential powerful position he is holding right now, it could come back on him in a very dark and difficult way. Does that make sense?
Not only does it make sense, but I think that one of the things that I've been trying to do too is kind of promote the calm to be like, hey, listen, I see all of the conflict within this, but I think you're summarizing it quite well. This is a very necessary thing in our country. This is a very necessary thing. And does it mean that, people are getting hung up on the translation of certain things, as they should, by the way. I
Yeah.
don't remember when you and I were like, oh, yeah, it's important for us to stay neutral. I couldn't stay neutral
No.
because I know that I've read Project 2025. It's not good.
Mhm.
There is nothing good about it.
Yep.
For a group that there is a whole scale agenda of things that we're sitting there going, this is what you voted for, everybody, which is what so many people are resonating with right now that are like, are we going to treat people with kindness? Are we going to do light work? Are we going to do these things? How this fits into it as well, I think you perfectly explained it, where it's like we were literally sitting here jumping up and down for the last 20 some odd years going, we want to change. We want to have a discernible, direct, tangible change.
Mm.
You cannot wish for a sunny day and be upset when it's 98 degrees. It
Yeah.
is 98 degrees. It's 105 degrees. It is to a point where, or whatever it is, like 52 Celsius, whatever kind of BS discount you guys get in Europe.
Yeah.
But
40.
40, oh my gosh, I hate it to be 40 for you. But I'll never forget it. I get a text from you one day and you're like, it's 41. I'm burning alive. And I'm just like, go outside, warm up. I don't know what to tell you.
Burn, baby.
I was such an insensitive, you know, boorish American male. But I think what you're nicely presenting is like, this is actually the change that we wanted. And it's bringing it out. It's literally siphoning out all of this stuff that was behind the scenes. So when some of these people that are aligning themselves with Trump in the United States, like, it makes your skin crawl, because you're like, you have a daughter. Why are you supporting this? You have, like, there were things where, I mean, there was somebody, and I don't mean to over personalize this. There was somebody that, like, has this charity that he talks about inclusiveness and diversity, and then he's a Trumper. And I'm like, dude, check yourself. You can't go both ways here on this one. But what it's doing is it's making me say what's my value system and questioning his value system that he has as a business. And I think that is kind of the filter that we're feeling with this right here. And I think that is some of the filter that we're experiencing left and right. And just sticking to the astrology, I want to add a few things in here as well, because I think he did a great job of summarizing this. That direct Saturn for him in his seventh house is 100%. And don't forget, when Saturn's in Pisces, it is a very uncomfortable thing. It is a very uncomfortable placement. It is the maleficent with the harmony. And the harmony sitting there saying to, Saturn, going, can't we all just get along? And then Saturn turns around and goes, can you just do your job? Can you just get this done? Well, now that it has gone direct, instead of it being a double or triple negative, really, when you think about it, now it's kind of saying, listen, whatever needs to change structurally can begin to change. Maybe is the outcome that deleting the Department of Education is the way to go. That is balls out insane to anybody that hears it and knows our process of government here. The challenge is to get the reason why he wants to get rid of the Department of Education, so he can instill his own idea of how education should be. And that education looks like Project 2025. But when you think about it, the function of the Department of Education was to fund money into these districts or into these states, and then they disseminate it into the district. So it's kind of like it's being able to kind of like handle it at the local parochial level. They're bringing the control back to the federal government by saying, we're going to get rid of this as a department, and we're going to say to the states, we're only going to award you if you do what we tell you to do. It's a control tactic. Is that okay with us? Is that all right with us? And by the way, you can talk about education all day long and not offend anybody, but also rile people up at the same time. That is what I see when I see Saturn go direct. He took his shots and his appointments and his whatever. None of them are going to stick. Like, he's doing it he's literally saying, here's the absolute worst choice ever, so then I can actually get the person in that I want to get in. But there's something about this that he has the platform right now. And by the way, the moon conjunct to Uranus is platforming. It is being able to rile somebody up to the alternative. And that's where he's going with this.
Yeah.
I don't know. How do you think Pluto plays into this? With Pluto kind of moving, I mean, we've only got two more
it goes
the 19th we go direct, or we go into Aquarius?
It goes into Aquarius on the 19th, and then that's it. It's done and dusted. And I think there is something about the energy of Pluto that is very relevant to this full moon, because Pluto is saying, I'm done with Capricorn. I'm done with the old ways. I'm done with the old structures, with the old boy network. It has to change. So in a way, the energy of Trump's victory kind of links in with the Pluto energy. And I'm sorry for anyone that is not happy with Trump's victory. We need to look at the energies around all of this rather than who's right, who's wrong, because the energies are such that we cannot go against the tide. We have to go with this flow of change. And Pluto is saying the old ways, democracy, in a sense, has to change dramatically. So that once Pluto moves into Aquarius, which is really, and I don't know the chart of Elon Musk, but in a sense, I would say Elon Musk represents Aquarius, because he represents technology, internet, space travel, anything like that, because
he has a very strong Uranus chart, although we cannot seem to find his time. And by the way, that's another thing that's incredibly remarkable. Finding the times of a lot of these people that he's appointing are almost impossible. So
Right.
you can't get a pinpoint accuracy with how they approach it in the houses. But you very strong Uranus. I think he has Pluto um, squared to Uranus. So he's
Right.
got some activation. Oh yeah.
Mm, mm. But
Oh yeah.
Pluto, when it moves in, and in because we've got Donald Trump's chart here on the inner wheel, and Pluto transiting Pluto on the outer wheel, is going to be moving into his sixth house of his day-to-day routine and his health. And I still stick to what I said a year ago. He has to watch his health.
Yeah.
And there is a feeling with this full moon that he may well be what do you call it, the president elect, or
Hmm.
sort of because he's not elect, he's not sworn in yet, is he?
Yep.
So it really makes me wonder. If I was his personal astrologer, I would be saying, hey, dude, slow down. Slow down. Take some time out. You need
Yeah.
to rest. You need to rest up. Your blood pressure's too high. You're going to give yourself, with high blood pressure, as much as we've got you on the medication that you need to keep everything regulated, he's not a young guy.
Yeah.
And I knew that at 69. So I'm about 10 years younger than him.
I'm gonna
Not
so make that a clip. That's our clip.
I love you too, honey.
I love you too. No, but it's I think that's the so many people wanted us before the election to basically say Trump wasn't going to make it,
Yeah.
or he's going to die in between election, whatever. That's not what this chart shows. What the chart shows is that if he wants to, he's going to burn himself out,
Yeah.
right? If he wants to, he's gonna put himself in a precarious position, put
Mm.
people in place that are going to actually hurt him instead of vice versa. And what he surrounds himself with, they're going to worship him and look for him to think for him. And
That
there
is
are some,
amazing.
and listen, by way of example, you have a Texas representative basically saying whatever he says. If he says jump 10 feet, we jump 10 feet and don't ask questions. Like there is that kind of like lack of sovereignty and agency with some of his followers. That
So
could be very dangerous for him because nobody is keeping him in check and he himself will spin out of control. He himself will put himself at risk.
So here's a question. Is there actually one or two people in the wings who are actually working on undermining him and bringing him down so that they become the next president of
Mhm.
the United States?
Well, another eerily accurate or consistent chart is JD Vance. I mean, JD Vance, he and
I have
JD Vance
a chart.
have nearly the exact same rising. Trump is at 27 degrees and um what do you call it?
Trump
He's at
is
20, no,
not
he's at like 25 and a half or something.
so
And
very
then JD Vance is at like 27, 28.
so
So
they're
they were at Leo rising. So they are very consistent with their approaches. They're very consistent with that. Now, if you want to kind of go into Peter Thiel money and you want to kind of talk about some of the, Peter Thiel is kind of, we're getting off of the astrology of it, but has really kind of been directing a lot of things. Like,
Mhm.
he funded JD Vance. He funded so many of the ventures that he was involved with. He funded Elon Musk and all of the things that he had done. He was also involved with a betting house that just got raided by the FBI because not only were all of the numbers, everything that was being shown was Kamala 51, Trump 49%. Literally. That's where the betting line was. And forget about the idea that we can morally not only vote but then also bet. They can grift on the emotion of who we support as well, which is just disgusting. But that alone, his gambling house, I think it was they're connected to Starlink as well, but they're offshore to the United States, so you're not actually betting on U.S. soil. But what got okayed was the style app that he has that you can basically call it an investment. And what they do with the investment is they gamble it. So you're not really gambling on it; you're investing in Trump or Kamala, and then they're placing the bet for you. It's shady as hell. He put out some very specific numbers before the election. Joe
Mhm.
Rogan, who also talked about it, basically said, "Oh yeah, it came in on my app." So it almost became a communication device of wink, wink. We have a plan. We have a secret, don't we, Mike Johnson? And that in and of itself, this is where, like, and this chart also shows that deception really gets revealed, right? And I'm going to show you where it is for two reasons. One, you've got Mercury working through Sagittarius, which is kind of a no holds barred. I'm going to throw it into caution into the wind. I'm going to say it and see where it sticks.
Yes.
But
And
eventually,
remember, it's opposite Jupiter. Jupiter retrograde
correct.
Gemini. So
It,
they're in is it called mutual reception, because they're both in their fall in the signs they're in, because Jupiter rules Sagittarius and Mercury rules Gemini. So having that tension between Jupiter and Mercury means Mercury, as you say, is no holds barred. I'm just going to say it. And I don't care if I upset anyone.
Correct, correct. So that's part of the tension going on right now. This is why you say, yeah, Tulsi Gabbard is going to be a good idea. Robert F. Kennedy is going to be a good idea. That's why he's throwing these things into the wind too, by the way, because the timing is right. But as astrologers, I'm going to speak to, Penny's common sense here as an astrologer. What happens when Mercury becomes conjunct with Venus?
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, it's going to hang out with Venus for a while because we got retrogrades to deal with.
Well,
We've got other things. So you have a passionate way and a hypersensitivity of what your personal truth is.
but Mercury is going retrograde soon, remember?
And it's going to dance right over Venus here in a couple of weeks. So it's going to be conjunct to Venus for a while.
No,
That's my
because
point.
no, because Mercury doesn't make it into Capricorn in its retrograde. It goes
I
retrograde,
understand.
it stays in Sagittarius till I think it's the end of December.
But it
So
also stays conjunct. We're going to get two tries at the conjunct
okay,
here. That's my point.
okay, yeah,
Totally agree with you. The astrology is correct. Everything Penny just said. My point is that Mercury's going to play on Venus for a while here,
okay.
right?
And I also think we mustn't forget the Mars-Pluto opposition.
Here we go. Here we
Right?
go. I'm not here for a long time. I'm here for a good time.
You
Let's
know,
talk about this Mars Pluto, baby.
so we've had the first hit of Mars Pluto. That was on the 3rd of November. So a lot of people out there, you will probably remember the 1st, 2nd, 3rd of November, just leading up to the US election. And you may, on a personal level, have experienced a lot of tension, a lot of anxiety, a lot of kind of splits, a lot of angst, arguments, being pushed to transform, to change, and resisting it. Now, what happens is Mars is having a retrograde too. So Mars is going to retrograde back into Cancer. I can't remember the exact date it goes retrograde, but it's soon. And then in January, it will have another opposition with Pluto, but Pluto will be in Aquarius and Mars will be in Leo.
Fixed energy, baby.
Okay, so let's just think about this full moon. This full moon is setting the scene. And I think it's setting the scene for something that is unfolding for Donald Trump in this instance. Now, by the 3rd of January or something, I think it is, there will be something else going on. And that's when I think he has to be super careful of his health or attempts, to take him out. And I don't mean to the local, bar or
Yeah, I
restaurant.
mean, I think he's got to worry about what he's building. You
Yeah,
know, I don't want to put the fear of attempted assassinations or whatever the case may be.
give it
But
energy.
what I do want to say, no, I don't think you're wrong though. I don't think you're wrong. I actually see it as in the people that he's putting around him, because
Yes,
Pluto is going to be in the sixth house. He is
yes.
going to anything that he forget about assassination attempts, forget about those things. Could it happen? Sure. But what we're talking about is what he's putting around him is going to be his detriment. What he is putting forth in all of this is that he is literally bringing it together,
Mm.
that he is genuinely, that's what he's got to watch out for.
Yeah.
I'm also going to tell you that January 13th,
Mm-hmm.
January 13th,
Mm-hmm.
in between the signed papers
Mm-hmm.
of Congress, which is our process, the
Yeah.
signed paper of Congress, where, remember January 6th, where basically what it is they basically certify the election, where all of the governors, and our process in the United States is, at your parochial precinct, you have one person in charge that basically says, okay, I have 5 votes for this person, 3 votes for this person. They take those votes and they bring it up to the county. And then the county says, okay, we see your 5 votes, we see your 3 votes, we have counted them, we have them on record. Thank you very much for coming. Then the counting goes to the state. And then the state says, hey, we have, including those 5 votes and those 3 votes, we have 2,000 votes here and 2,200 votes here. And then they say, okay, county, we recognize it. We have recorded it. Then the states send a board of electors, a slate of board of electors. It's more of just it is a function of, can you take this letter down the hall? But it's an honor because it's an important letter. And you take that to your senator, your representative, that basically says, I, as the governor, have faith that those 3 votes and those 5 votes were counted appropriately, and then therefore accounted appropriately at the county level and then at the state level. And here it is.
Right.
Be as a representative to us, take this to the president, basically, take this to the
Mm-hmm.
Congress, take this to the Senate, and say, here we go. Then they
Mm-hmm.
bring it in, and then they say, okay, we have, we give you our electoral votes to this candidate because the votes are this and this. Everything is very kind of pomp and circumstance, but it is also very official.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
In
And,
between that time and when he is going to be sworn in, if everything stays pat,
mm-hmm.
will be the very important date of January 13th.
What?
January
What's
13th is
happening?
the full moon.
Oh, and where is the full moon?
It is full moon in Cancer,
Okay.
and
Oh.
the sun is conjunct with Pluto, and the
Okay.
moon is conjunct with Mars. So as we talk about this guy right here, the sun's going to sun and the moon's going to moon. So the moon's going to go around because that's what it does.
But
And if
Pluto will be in Aquarius by then. It'll be
Pluto will be in Aquarius, but you are in the waning hours
yeah.
of this. So once again, we have one of these split dynamics, just like we have right here with the moon and Uranus. You're
Mm-hmm.
going to have that very same thing as well. And I'll tell you, in those transits, it will end up in his 5th house and his 11th house.
Yeah. 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 Got that. Yeah.
So take your Leo energy, take your collective energy,
Mhm.
and rock and roll with it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because it's going to be one of those things where all of those things about the health and the challenges and who's around him. Et tu, Brute, January 13th.
Beware the Ides of March. Because
Beware
it's
the 13th of January, DJT.
yeah, it's not I think you're absolutely spot on here with this, Brandon, because it's not something out there that he has to fear if he has to fear anything. And I think the full moon today is setting the scene. It's, as you say, in that close circle around him.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like he's been used to achieve a certain agenda.
And once he gets there, nobody cares about him. And listen, he doesn't know he signed his own exit
Yes,
strategy. And
yes.
you summarized it beautifully when you were talking about how his Uranus is in the 10th house, in that moon is in the 9th. This is tough lessons for him in a public eye.
Yeah, yeah,
He's going to
yeah.
get shit shamed like nobody's business. And again, this isn't just wishful thinking.
No,
We
no.
don't walk. If you've watched Penny and I individually, collectively, whatever, we actually don't want to see this man go down the way that his astrology shows.
He
We
hasn't been.
actually want him to pull up the reins. What's that?
Well, I just want to say that sometimes with all of this stuff, we lose sight of the fact that we are all conscious sentient beings. We all have a soul, a spirit. We are all beings of light. And whether we go down the wrong path or a path that is negative or not good for us, or we do things that are not good to other people, we still have to recognize it's like namaste. The soul in me recognizes and acknowledges the soul in you. So that we have to also recognize the soul in Donald Trump, whether love him or hate him. He is working on some karmic kind of path and soul contract to act out a part. He has agreed to play his part in this particular drama, which links in with Pluto's move into Aquarius and the collapse of the old order. Unfortunately, for him, this being of light, and some people might not like that I say that, but everybody is a being of light. Then what happens is he's in danger of going down with the ship. Does that make sense, Brandon?
And it's the ship that he created.
Yeah. You've frozen. Oh, no.
And that's the thing with this. And that's also the thing that we have to remember internationally, locally, down the street. We have to remember that we have to have compassion in this because we are the bigger light.
Yes.
And they will come in, they will ask us. And it's not being egotistical. I've already seen it. The number of people that are actually regretting their vote has been, there's a whole page out there that just talks about, I'm sorry I voted for him. I'm already seeing the ill wills. I never thought he would do this. Even the idea, the mockery level, the level 10 mockery level for him to put somebody in the attorney general's spot that is basically trying to avoid prosecution because it's coming to a head is so Donald Trump. And again, he skirted through all these things. What would have been best for Donald Trump if he was held accountable just once? Like, that's the whole thing. Double the pride, double the fall. That is his legacy. His legacy energetically will be that of the epitome of the 7 deadly sins. So when he is shown to it, you will see that each one of those things are going to lead to his downfall. We work on the timing of it, we work on the energy of it, but we sure as shit aren't hoping for it. We're just hoping hoping we come out of this okay.
Yeah, and for the whole planet. But can I ask you something personally? Because I've watched the recent videos you've done. I haven't seen last night's, but you've done some damn good work. But
Well,
you
you.
get horribly attacked and horribly criticized, and yet people watch your videos. How do you manage that? How do you cope with that? And what do you have to say to the naysayers and the people that are very critical of you because you take a position?
Well, if you watch closely, I'm just telling the truth.
Okay.
And there are opinions, and I will say this is my opinion, and this is my perspective, this is my filter.
That.
Yeah, and there's a difference though. Because this is where, and by the way, one of our two shows again in the series when our conflict was over, you see that pop right out there? I gotta get my head shaved. I gotta go through a car wash too. Keep the windows rolled down so I get everything clean. But one of the things that we had a little tensious moment because you were like, let's not pick sides here. And I go, have you read any of this? And I wasn't angry with you. It was more of, I needed my sovereignty because I know what I was going through.
Yeah.
Over the course of the last year, Donald Trump has insulted what would amount to 82% of the citizens in the United States. 82%. 18% do not fall into the category of woman, veteran, minority, adopted, or what was the other section that I had done, or immigrant of any kind. Only 18% did he not take a swing at. That to me it's reprehensible to me that somebody would rise to power by insult.
Mm.
An insult of the intellect, insult of the highest form, insult of the direct kind. That to me is, I found it my place to rally people to let you know it's going to be okay, but
Mm.
it's not okay that it's happening.
Mm.
There's a difference. And I
Yeah.
think we were watching people roll over. We were watching Kamala not say, this doesn't smell right.
Mm.
And in full like static, I'm not picking a side. There are 10 million votes less for Kamala than there was for Biden. And when you
Right.
look at the life cycle of voting over
Mm.
the last 50 years, it has
Mm-hmm.
been very consistent, plus or minus about 3 million of those votes around pretty much where Kamala came in,
Mm-hmm.
except for when Biden ran and it was astronomically larger. I
Mm.
have literally seen evidence as to why they might have thought that 2020 was stolen and it should have been investigated. But here's the thing:
Mm.
after 180 lawsuits, that to me has gone through the process, and that to me is legit.
Mm.
On the flip side of it, why are we not talking about the legitimization of this election as well? Too many people are rolling over.
Mm.
Too
So
many people are doing that.
now, in your opinion, what is that about? Why is no one challenging it?
One of the tech bros shows up and starts jumping up and down like an infantile child
Mm-hmm.
because he's about to be repositioned for, cryptocurrency. And by the way, you've got Uranus. Let's bring this back to astrology. Uranus on Algol
Mm.
screams disruption of our technologies, of our infrastructures, of our whatever. So
Mm.
him jumping up and down going, I get to introduce a new Bitcoin. If Elon Musk gets into the position that they are talking about, they
Mm.
will introduce something to take us off of the dollar standard. And the standard US dollar has kept stability, right or wrong, has kept stability in the world
Yes.
forever since its inception. When we
Yes.
were taken off the gold standard, we allowed ourselves in 1972 to 74. It took us off the gold standard, which deregulated and destabilized world economies so they could tumble, so we could control them in a different way. All of
Mm.
a sudden, you start to look at this and realize the game, realize the challenge in all of this. And when
Mm.
you start to look at the complexities of this and all the tentacles, Uranus answers a lot, Mars
Mm.
answers a lot, the players answer a lot. So
Mm.
when I get upset, I'm like, everybody's clinging onto their 401k. And I'm not a doomsayer here. This doom scrolling thing, whatever. Your 401k is part of the problem because they think that they're going to feed into your 401k and get your vote. Meanwhile, you're like, well, my personal economy has my 401k very important to me. Haha, they hooked you. So all of a sudden, this nefarious thing that they're representing
Mhm.
benefits you because you're
Mm.
vested in it.
Mhm.
Now we're struck with a moral crisis. That is the reason why this is going to be so shape-shifting for us. This is the
Yeah.
reason why it's going to shake the ground, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you being in Europe, aren't you a little worried that Europe might be completely destabilized and you're 1,500 miles away from a war zone right now?
Yes, especially, and not just that. You know, Putin could easily walk into Europe. So
Good luck with NATO.
yeah, but also the financially, economically, if the dollar crashes for whatever reason, I mean, we're basically all FUCKED'd.
It's a thing. I mean, and listen, this is why we were so upset because you can criticize the United States for being too much to be overreaching. And there
Mm.
have been times, but we seem to get involved when there's a grift. I mean, the Secretary of State, appointee in Marco Rubio, I don't know if you saw any of this, basically attacked a Palestinian woman who was waiting for him at his office right after they announced it. And she says, how are you going to help the conflict and find a resolution between the Palestinians and Israel? And he
Yeah.
stopped and he said, do you have that on? Because I want you to catch this. Hamas are animals. That was the first thing out of his mouth as a Secretary of State elect. He's a warmonger.
Mm.
He wants to send him back to the Stone Age. He has all sorts of stuff out there, but he's not hiding it anymore.
And he's going to send Europe back to the Stone Age at this rate.
Like, and by the way, way to read ahead into prophecy. Way to read ahead into all of this. And I'm sorry to say that all of these prophecies, what's that, love?
Nostradamus.
Nailed this. Nailed
Uh-huh.
it. He's
Yeah.
3 for 3, everybody. And you're like, what is he 3 for 3? Oh, that's what he's 3 for 3 about. Yeah. And the trumpet
Yeah.
sounded and the
Yes.
new city shook.
Yeah. Listen, Brandon, it's 54 minutes to the hour, right?
Aren't we
I
awesome? We did this right today, didn't we?
I can't see what's going on in the live chat. I don't know why, but I'm frightened to touch nothing because I'll probably.
Oh yeah, I know you love to see this.
Yeah.
They
So
basically said,
we need to answer.
yeah. So a lot of people are talking about, why don't we pick the side of peacefulness? That's what we're shouting about, right?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm pretty much down. There you go. And by the way, gold is down 8% in the election. Not fact checked, but I know it was down. Don't forget about disabled people. Oh yeah, disabled is definitely in that category as well, with the number of people that he insulted. The Doge, which is the Department of General Efficiency or Government Efficiency, which is, by the way, probably what the Bitcoin, the new US Bitcoin, is going to be. Don't question the oligarchs. Yeah, that's a thing, Allie B. Star sign. In the government, they're rolling over, but many private citizens are sending letters to their legislatures, senators, and Congress people. I don't think that we realize how much the people's voice needs to still be in there, right? He
And
insults everybody. Yes, I agree. The white women vote was the shock. And by the way, I'm not talking about the vote standard. I'm talking about the people that he insulted. He insulted 82% of the population, right? At least he takes a position. And you know what? You can criticize, the Biden administration for not being stronger with the entire Israeli conflict. They were very much like, hey, we'll just fund one side of you and you guys figure it out. We're not going to change anything. Shame on them. I mean, listen, I have listened to the Palestinian side of it myself, and I'm like, hey, that's not cool. When you look at what they did to the West Bank, they basically shut them off. They turned them into an island.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, here's your holy land, but guess what? You can't get milk.
Yeah.
Don't be a fucking asshole, Israel. I'm
Mm.
sorry. I went this long. Without swearing. But you understand what I'm saying. It's like, then we're sitting here going, this is an easy solution. Just make a road. And then they're like, yeah, but they had there's a kid that needs milk.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
kid that needs food. I don't really care about your conflict. You're the grown up. Act like one. That is
Yeah.
the way. I mean, and listen, the unchecked aggression from Putin. I mean, come on. The idea that NATO would be weakened should frighten everybody in the world.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I'm in Malta in the Mediterranean. I know I said this last time. Malta will become a war zone because we have a large harbor that can give ships equipment and, refuel them. And we have
Yep.
a very long runway which can take the sort of, these transport planes that
Yeah.
might be used in a conflict. And I want to say something more about the chart as well, because in mundane astrology, if we look at it as not being personal to any of us, and yet it is collectively, the moon represents the people. So I think the fact that the moon, if we just go to the full moon chart, the
Mhm.
moon is actually in the first house, which is very much about I am, my ego, who I am. This is the people. And conjunct Uranus, this is about almost, it's like the energy of the moment is trying to wake the planet up.
Wake up,
Everybody on
dude.
wake up.
Wake
Take
up,
back
dude.
Take back your power. We give our power away too easily. And also, what is happening is we do not listen to each other, respect each other's differences and points of view, and actually just say, well, I respect your point of view. I don't agree with it because of XYZ, but nevertheless, let's see if we can find a compromise where we meet in the middle and find a way to move forward. What has happened that divided the
Yep.
planet state where where we could have, you know, basically a World War III, because and what we're not looking at is what's going on in China. That's where we should be worried.
By the way, you know how many viewers we have in China?
Well,
Z to the row. And by the way, Australia, you guys always bring it. New Zealand, hard taps. Scotland, Ireland, you guys love us. Sweden, big deal there.
Yeah.
I know we have our fair contingency in France as well as the Netherlands and Germany. Like, it's the reason why, and the reason why I got so adamant about this, and I know we're in our wrap up mode here, but the reason why I was so adamant about that was exactly what
not alcohol, it's kombucha.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I am so proud of you.
Have one a day.
Do you?
Yeah.
And you're doing this with me? Do you have to time it right so they can get off the camera? I know you. By the way, also kombucha.
Oh no!
Fucking come on, girl. We on the same wavelength.
Whoa, that is awesome.
It's also kind of like my guy layer. It's like, oh, you're into kombucha? Yeah, and I have a man ponytail now.
Have you got a man bun?
I'm working on it. Are you seeing this mess?
Oh, I want to see the man bun.
Oh my gosh. My gosh. It gives you something to hang on to. Little direction. Use it like a joystick. I don't know what to tell you. It's terrible. I don't know. Tell me you don't think about it.
I've blushed.
I know. Listen, it's like a day without sunshine, right? You know, I'm in the middle of the Mediterranean and I've never been hotter. I'm just having fun with it. But that personal sovereignty, I know, right? This is terrible. We cannot do it. We just can't do it. We almost got there.
Get through a
We
show.
almost got there. And Andy just called us out. She just said, blah, ha, ha, hilarious. It's like she knows. She knows. Andy knows.
I love you, girl. I love you.
But it's that dynamic where it's like, as we move out of the age of Pisces and we move into the age of Aquarius, the age of Pisces is symbolized by the codependency that we have had, because all of our structures were codependent: marriage, government, money, schools, identity, social pressures for you to be. It was a codependency. Oh, I wouldn't do that. What would the neighbors think? All of those things. The age of Aquarius, and by the way, what's going through right now is we're blowing that up. The age of Aquarius is represented by your personal value system and what you bring to the table. That doesn't mean we can't collaborate. No. It just means that we have to collaborate by, Penny, what'd you bring to the table? Brandon, what'd you bring to the table? Does it work or doesn't it work? Oh, we're done with this? Here we go. Penny and I are the perfect exercise of the evolution for Pisces. Because if you watch our earlier shows, it was a codependent relationship. Wasn't it?
Yes, totally.
It really was. It was just kind of like, I'm just... What are you thinking about? What are you thinking about? I'm thinking about you in a man bun and me taking care of you. What is that? Like, shit. Where's my Saturn? Anyways. But then you watch it where we went through this phase where we were like, we got to put this down for a couple of minutes. We both got busy. There were other things going on. And then when we got back together, we had different visions and it worked better. What's that, love?
We withdrew.
You were what?
Sorry.
You can't even...
I don't think I can say it on YouTube.
What's in that kombucha? I mean, listen. Listen, Penny, I still continue to just love your soul to death. You are one of the most genuine people. You tell it like it is. You piss me off on the regular, and then you love me on the regular, which is exactly how it's supposed to be. And it is the most healthy relationship ever for me, because it also allows me to understand that I can have differences and grow, and I can have those things. And it gets me out of the comfort zone. It gets me out of things. It got me going, hey, listen, I've got to drop this and go here and go there. And somebody's commenting that there is a storm coming, right? Yeah. And guess what? Guess who we have? Each other. That's why I've been doing the videos the way I've been doing them. Because it's like, yeah, we're not alone. We're not alone.
You are on
It,
a roll. You're flying at the moment. I'm just loving your work. Congratulations. I
well, I
really
appreciate you.
do. Well done. But I
Even
also
with a
want to
man
say
bun?
something. So I want a man bun. But I also want to say something else, honey, which is about we've also got to remember that the balance has been all wrong. So the Pluto Capricorn into
Yes.
Aquarius is also about moving from this imbalance in masculine and feminine, because the divine masculine is
Yes.
lost. And we
Yes.
have to actually, the divine feminine is lost as well. We have to have
It's in
the
survival
divine,
mode.
yes, the divine feminine has to arise or rise up and be in harmony with the divine masculine, not patriarchy and matriarchy. So there's a big difference, but there has to be this sort of coming together, the sacred marriage, as Carl Jung would have called it, the conjunctio, the marriage of heaven and earth. One
Yes.
is masculine, one is feminine. And there has been nothing like this for probably, well, thousands of years.
And
Thousands.
here's the thing, when it was presented to us as we move from the age of Aries to the age of or to the age of Pisces,
Yes.
we weren't handling it. We were actually given sincere knowledge that was being able to be presented to us. And it
Yes.
is still, it still stays alive in things like the Gnostic Gospels. If you read the
Yes.
Coptic Bible, it's in there. If you
Yes.
look at what was going on pre-Christianity, there is knowledge about how you take care of your body to be
Yes.
enlightened, how you roll out. But we became fight or flight. Judaism, as love it or hate it, is a guide for how you survived and how you prepared your food, how you did intimacy, so that then you wouldn't catch the lip fungus that was going on. You just kind of put the parts together. It was awful. I can't believe I just said that, but you understand what I'm saying,
Oh,
right?
dear.
Right. But and then Christianity was a control of population. It was a population thing. So as evangelical Christianity starts to take a foreplay into this, it is
Mm,
about population. It
mm.
is about the hearts and the minds of the people. And this is where we're looking around going, are you kidding me? That's not, none of us believe in that stuff.
Because the way to take over the planet, if a certain group of people from wherever want to take over the planet, the way to do it is breed. They just have to breed.
And that's the thing, because they think numbers matter. And
Yeah,
listen, this is not me calling my shot, and I've been very careful with this. And my media team is very much like, you can say without saying it.
yeah,
A lot of people think that the antithesis of what's going to make us fall is going to be this kind of, biblically. Let's just talk about the Bible for a second. They talk about a second coming of something that's going to absolutely crush us, right? And it says that it's in the form of a beast and it's got numbers on his head and all this other stuff, right?
yeah, yeah,
The number that was chosen had nothing to do with the number. It had everything to do with the materialistic parts of the world or the seven deadly sins. I'll let you figure it out, what that actually means. And guess what? You and I are just sitting there navigating it. We're talking about Algol. We're talking about Uranus. We're talking about cyclical things that have been going on for centuries, decades, and forever. And you can believe in your books if you want to. There's nothing wrong with that. And I don't care if you're reading the Bible or if you're reading a current author. How you want to gain your information is great. We're talking astrology. We're talking about the cycles of humanity, and it is repeating again, and our choices are right in front of us. We
yeah,
can either choose to fold and say, I don't know what I want to do when I grow up, or you can say, you know what? I have a moral compass and I'm going to apply it.
yeah,
And guess what? We've all screwed up. That's not what we're talking about. We're
yeah,
talking about, where are you at today? How did you get here? And where are you moving forward?
yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. We're becoming humanity. We're becoming
Yeah.
humanity.
Well, it is the evolution of human consciousness. And of course, any growth process is very painful. And that is actually what is happening. And it's like I've described it in some of my videos as a kind of division of people, where you've got the people who are allowing their consciousness to evolve and going with the flow, that the divine is trying to take us,
I love
and
it.
the others who are going down to the bar. And I'm not criticizing, it's not a criticism,
No.
but the people that just think, say, astrology and what we do is a load of old whatever,
Oh, it
and
is.
and that's fine.
Yeah.
They're absolutely allowed to, not allowed. Of course, they can think that way, but what will happen at some
You still
time,
have freedom to be a dipshit.
yes, is that eventually the people that have gone on that other path, which is a bit slower, it's like someone
Yeah.
described it, and I can't remember who I was watching, and it could have been one of Pam Gregory's
I was
videos.
going to say Pam. I think it was Pam because I think I watched the same thing.
Okay, because it was about, there are some people who are going through the airport on fast track and some who are going on the slow track. And eventually we all get on the same plane. And I wish I could credit the person that said this, but I can't remember. And we all get on the same plane. It's just that the fast track people have got to wait for the slow track people to catch up. But eventually we will all get there and we will go to the same place. And you can all interpret that in whatever way you wish. But at some point, human consciousness, we are here. We have chosen to be here at this time for our consciousness to evolve. And
Yeah,
that is what is happening.
and whether we like it or not, like I said, we are wishing for a sunny day. We were wishing for something to break. We were wishing for this change to happen, and we were being good people day in and day out, whatever that means. Whatever your struggle is, wherever you're at, you're doing the best you could with what you had. Period. End of conversation. If you were authentic, that is the definition of authenticity. And then you watch these people that were manipulating everything else. You're like, I don't like that over there. I don't like that over there. We need to change that. And then you're like, well, I'll just, give them, I'll kill them with kindness. I can't control them, so I'm going to control me. Something had to break because now they want to control you. Uh-oh. Things just got real. Things just got real. I mean, why do you think that we hold the door open for others? This is a question that I ask in one of my classes. Why do we hold the door open for people? Penny, why do you help anyone?
Because I want to, and I respect them, and I see their light, and they need my help.
You see their light. You see their light. And by the way,
Dim.
well, and by the way, don't you also recognize too, whenever I ask that question, I get all sorts of answers. And sometimes the answer is, well, my parents raised me that way. Okay. Or I want to live in a world, in a society where we do that for one another, right? Right. Kind of the golden rule. Somebody just wrote it. Maggie, shout out to you, right? Then you have people that have evolved a little bit because, you know what? I wanted people to, the empathetic answers are because I was in a spot where I couldn't open the door myself and somebody else opened it for me. So I'm passing it on. I want not only do I want to live in a world like this, but I also want to tell you I've been through this. I sent you a message, by the way, Penny.
What?
And pick up your phone, hon.
Now?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
We're so
good.
professional. And then you would hear people say similar to the answer that Penny just gave, which is you are in the dynamic of seeing somebody's struggles, their light, and you didn't judge them. You simply help them. That's consciousness. That's evolution. That's being able to say, this is why I laugh when people are like, oh, he's going to destroy the world. It's like, he might, but who's he going to take? Pluto in the 6th house, dude. Pluto in the 6th house is him needing to work through his power base of the people around him. And when those planets act on Pluto in the 6th house, means that it's going to ramp up and either he's going to lose his footing or he's going to be super empowered. Watch the crazy train circus. I got you, hun. Perfect.
I went through Pluto. Well, we've both had Pluto in the 6th house. And
I
I've
know.
had Pluto in this, it's still in my 6th house. And I would say it's been the worst struggle. The last 18 years have been such a struggle in life in general. It's been, I was a full-time carer for my mother.
Yeah.
Pluto in the 6th, clearly service to others. I wanted to. I loved her. I wanted to be her carer. So I mean, it sounds like I'm looking for sympathy. I'm not. I sacrificed my middle age to be her carer because I didn't want her to go into a care home. I wanted to care for her like she had always cared for me. And
There you
so,
go.
but the reward, the gift of Pluto's move into Aquarius in my own chart is the transformation I'm going through, albeit quite late in life, is just awesome. It's just, it's just, I'm so full of gratitude. When my cat came back, and I never gave up hope that George, not even hope, I knew George would come back because you told me he would. You said he is in a garage with no doors, and he will come back when the weather turns. He came
Mm.
back before the rain started. I mean, we did catch him in a cat trap, but he had been hanging out in a garage with no doors. I mean, you were
Penny,
spot on.
Penny, I love you, but you had to capture the cat.
Well, you
I love you. I do love you. I'm glad he's back.
so am I. And here he is. Hold on, hold on. It's just a picture. Just a
I
picture.
know.
There's George.
I know. I know what he looks like. You sent me pictures every day. And
Careful, careful,
listen,
keep it clean.
I know. It's your over under. It's your third cat, but it's about you take situations like that and you're able to kind of apply it. I'm gonna have um, and I had kind of an uptick a while ago, and then it kind of waned off again, and now it's going to ramp up again because Pluto is going to be conjunct to my Jupiter for like 3 years.
Whoa. Whoa. Oh my God.
Like
I'm
good
gonna
time to
stick
get
with
on the
you.
Brandon train, right?
I'm gonna stick with you, kid. That's sure.
Yeah,
That's for
there you go.
sure.
See, there you go. Punch your ticket in, kid. Punch your ticket in. By the way, you've already paid admission. Listen,
Listen.
listen. Listen, if the FBI ever seizes my phone, just know they're coming for you because they'll be like, "What is this, Mama? Like, what is this?" They're gonna be like, "Really? This is what you said to the guy?" Uh huh. Yep. And then I gave descriptive. I
Listen,
gave
honey,
I gave descriptive pictures.
when are we going to do this again? We should do another one before Christmas, shouldn't we?
Oh my gosh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I mean, I like the pace that we're in. I love that we're seeing each other every couple of weeks
Yes,
or so.
yes.
We'll figure out a date. I like the mid-time hour like this because I
Yeah.
haven't been doing a lot of like noon stuff. I've been doing a
Uh-huh.
lot of stuff, in the evening, but we'll get this on. How about even the day before? Um I would be able to do it a little bit earlier. I already have some I'm going to start being a contributor to some other podcasts that are been out there.
Yes.
And I don't
Oh,
want to let the cat out of the bag, but there are some networks, some YouTube networks that have asked me to kind of be a commentary. And I'm
brilliant.
kicking the tires and all that other stuff, but I will always make time. Maybe we can even do we should
I'm
definitely do
thinking,
something before Thanksgiving though.
I'm thinking, well, no, well, maybe then I'm also thinking of the winter solstice because it's a turning point. It's a
I
trigger
would
point.
totally like that because one of the things I'm going to be doing this year is I'm going to be doing on I was always hired on New Year's Eve. Like I would just as a medium, and there was this group that, affluent. There were, there's a boathouse and, a summer lake house that they kept open all year, blah, 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 whatever. And it was very cool. It was nice. It was whatever. And then last year I had a tower moment with my foot again with an infection and blah, blah, blah. And that's what made me go, that's it. I'm done. I'm not messing around with this anymore. And I lost that gig. And then I politely said to them, I've since gone up and seen them and, we recalibrated it. They're jet setters. So they had to be in town and all that other stuff. But then I realized like how valuable that time was on New Year's Eve. And as a recovery coach, I know a lot of people, it's actually a very busy time for me to kind of help people through that moment where that astrology has to change so they're not tempted. And that temptation can be everything from their vices to them wanting to take the bridge, as I say. So on New Year's Eve, I'm going to be doing a meditation. I'm going to be doing sound healing at midnight. We're going to do meditation at midnight. It's going to be
Fabulous.
something you can subscribe to and get on board. It'll be and we're going to be working with a Code Blue shelter here in upstate New York to give them some funds so that then they can make sure that they have some funds to take care of some homeless people.
What's Code Blue?
Code Blue is when it's too cold to sleep outside.
Oh.
And the fact that we have a Code Blue in upstate New York, by the way, we're supposed to get a foot of snow next week. Oh yeah, we don't mess around. We went from 70s to, to 7 to 10 inches. Oh yeah, it's awesome.
Listen, before we bring this to a close, I haven't asked you how this full moon is affecting you. How is this? Is this awakening you in some way? What? Careful. What? When you get that look in your eye,
it's when she says things like, "Don't stand up." No, please, Brandon, don't stand up. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody.
No,
nobody wants to see you pole vaulting.
It must be in your 10th or 9th house, this full moon.
It's a very similar placement to Donald, actually, because we're not too far off.
So how do you think it is affecting you? Are you noticing anything over the last few days in your psyche, your persona, your character, what is happening to you in general in life?
Without getting into the entire chart, I will tell you that I have been very activated to be the counterculture into this, and I will absolutely be part of the rebellion and the resistance for whatever atrocities are coming our way. I will not bow. I will not bow. I will not bow out to morally be corrupt like I'm watching many people be. And it's not a moral high ground. It is a personal accountability. It is the age of Aquarius. So my self-righteous indignation is probably getting the better of me at times.
Yeah.
And and I'm understanding that. I'm learning how to pump the brakes on that, but I will not, and I repeat, will not bow. I just won't. Yeah. And I am ready to start a movement called We Are Lilith. And if you know the history of Lilith, it is her saying basically to Adam, make your own damn sandwich.
Yeah.
And then God went, we're going to have to, and it's Adam going, instead of living with this, could you just like do away with her and give me another one? And then God in his omnipresence basically said, I'm out of parts. And then Adam's like, I'll give you a rib. And then so long as I'm able to be connected to somebody, Adam is saying, so long as I have somebody subservient, then it works out, which was the birth of patriarchy.
Yeah.
I am Lilith. We are Lilith. Bullshit. We're done. And by the way, this isn't replacing the patriarchy with a matriarchy. It is not. Get that crap out of your head. It is not absolute. We are Lilith.
I like
What's that?
It's balance. It is getting the balance. It is the balance of, as I said earlier, the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And I think, people can get a little bit lost with thinking that, oh, it's all about the rise of the feminine. No, it's not. That is a part of it. But we live in a duality. We are not just one singular, unit. We are a duality. To create life, you need two people. So
Lilith represented the duality of male and female. When the male didn't want to deal with it, it threw it away and avoided accountability to basically said feminine energy was, for lack of better terms, subservient. Lilith was the best lesson for Adam, and Adam sideswiped it. Does it sound like anybody else we're watching right now? 100%. Be accountable.
Yeah.
We are Lilith. Here it comes.
Wow. Well, I think that sounds like a pretty good place.
Wrap this shit up. Holy crap. We nailed that, didn't we, kid? I love you, Penny. Thanks so much. We're going to give each other the heart tap. Do the heart tap, love. We're going to give each other the heart tap.
Being here. I really appreciate it. Everyone who perhaps has joined me on my channel or Brandon's channel, whichever channel it is. I don't even know if it's on my channel, actually. But anyway,
listen, like and subscribe, both of us, if you haven't already. Penny has weekly videos out that are really fantastic about the current astrology. That's her vibe. That's what she brings into it. I know you guys appreciate my stuff as well. Thank you guys for being part of our journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you are all awesome and you are why we do this, because we love you.
Oh, you mean them?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, you know, I love you. Oh, Brandon. Oh, really, me.
I mean, back to me. All
Maybe
right.
it's
I love you guys. We'll see you soon. Penny, stay on. I'm just going to end the stream. See you later.
bye.